Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Justin Young, and that man right there is none other than Josh Tech. Welcome to the Fast Break, the once-a-week podcast right here on hoopscene.com. And quite frankly, Josh, the once-a-week podcast may need to be twice a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week. I don't know. We got a lot of things coming up here as we start the visit season, which means recruiting season's in full force. Guys are making their commitments all over the country. We're going to talk about that a lot today, the importance of visits and where they fall into the recruiting platform. We're going to talk about 3 guys that you want to keep your eyes on, our 3 most important commitments. And, of course, we're going to talk about all kinds of news and notes going on in prep basketball across the country. Josh, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. I'm dying in this Georgia heat. I'm ready for the fall to actually hit. If you're going on an official visit anywhere in the South in late August or early September, it's going to feel terrible.
You're going to get a little bit of in the South. I like to call it nature's lotion, man. That moisture will keep you going. So certainly a lot of guys from the South that are being recruited that we're going to talk about this week and really the coming weeks. We're going to do this. I think moving forward here on our weekly podcast, we on our site on hoopscene.com, we have a thing called Fastbreak Friday. I think ironically we'll run on Thursday. We'll talk about the guys, some of the visitors going across the country, official visits, unofficial visits, 24 class, 25 class, maybe 26s and 27s. We're going to look at the campus of the weekend, and a lot of guys like big football games, and a lot of guys want to take visits on those big weekends, which quite frankly, I cannot blame them. If you were a player, Josh, wouldn't you want to go to those weekends if Bama, Auburn, I know that's not a big game this year, but like Georgia, Alabama, like those are the types of games.
Yeah, that'd be incredible. I want to go just as a regular person, that sounds fun.
I think so too. So our staff does a pretty good job of talking to players, getting that information. If you're a player or a coach, you've got information on a visit coming up, whether it's official or unofficial, shoot us a DM, let us know where you're going and when you're going. We'd like to keep up with that on our Fast Break Friday. So again, keep your eyes peeled on that. Actually, on Thursday evening, probably we'll drop that every week going forward for really the next, next 2-3 months, really, as we get closer to the early signing period. So it's something that we'd like to do, something that I've done in my recruiting coverage career for almost 20 years. So it's one of my favorite things to do in covering recruiting. We're going to start today. Not a ton of visitors going on this weekend. That's okay. But a lot of schools, like ironically enough, I got to be a proud father, Josh. My two oldest daughters both started there. My oldest is her sophomore year now at University of North Dakota. Nice. And my second daughter is a freshman at Utah State. So they're getting started.
Great basketball school.
What'd you say?
Great basketball school.
I know I've got a big-time hockey school, which I don't know anything about. And then I've got a big-time basketball school, so I'm a proud father of that. And then I've got a stepson that's in the Navy as well. So proud of all those guys. It's funny, not to get off topic too much, but I've got a hoodie that when I went up to Grand Forks, North Dakota, where University of North Dakota is, it was so cold that it was windy. It was really windy. So I bought this hoodie, and it's a University of North Dakota hockey hoodie. It's actually a sick hoodie. But when I wear it down here in Phoenix, I get more people stopping me over the University of North Dakota hockey hoodie than any other hoodie that I own. And I've got a lot, right? Like I've got all kinds of NBA ones from when my brothers stopped at different places, tons of college ones from obviously the stuff that we've, people that I've gotten to know. But University of North Dakota hockey gets more run than anything else in my closet.
I respect that. It's just different, and I like the ones that are different.
You actually, okay, let me go off topic a little bit. You wore a Morrissey shirt here on the podcast a couple of weeks ago as an old Morrissey fan, original Morrissey fan. I respected the hell out of the decision. What shirt do you have in your closet that gets more people stopping you on the streets and saying, oh, man, that's a great shirt?
I have a lot, honestly. Probably a lot of my Morrissey shirts would, because I have a lot from various ages, like 80s to now. I have an Oasis shirt from the 90s from when What's the Story, Morning Glory came out, that gets a lot of attention. Just a lot of older kind of band shirts, I guess, that a lot of people like. I'd say those Morrissey and that Oasis shirt get a lot of the pub, though.
I like it.
And let's. I'm going to continue this tangent. We're going to be on the rails, and maybe it'll drive us back to basketball. Is that Morrissey is doing a tour in the Southeast this October. So if you see me trying to wrap up our elite preview camp quicker than you would normally do, it's because I'm trying to get to Nashville to see Morrissey. So,
it's in Nashville? Is it the Ryman?
I don't know where it's at, actually. It might be at the Ryman, but I know it's in Nashville, and I'm gonna go. It'll work out regardless. Like,
that would blow my mind if Morrissey was playing at the Ryman. What a clash of worlds. So
yeah, it'd be fun.
We actually have a podcast idea just to kind of give a little teaser. If you're into music and if you're into hoops, we've got something up our sleeve that we probably should roll it out, honestly, here in the next couple of months. Something that we've talked about offline quite a bit for really the last year that hopefully we run that back and do that. So keep your eyes peeled on that here on the Fast Break. So if you have other ideas for topics, let us know too. We'd love to hear what kind of creative stuff you guys are doing. Drop it in the comments below here on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Do all the things that people tell you to do to help us out in the algorithms and all the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes in the technology world. So, all right, let's dive into it. Let's talk about these visits for a second. So I don't know about you, but I feel like last year and really since COVID, visits didn't feel like they held quite the value that they once did. I mean, before COVID, I feel like visits was everything. Like you got such a great dive into a player's recruitment when you announced, hey, these are the 5 places I'm going to take visits to. But that's changed too. Like schools have unlimited visits. Players can take 5 visits. They can take more visits than ever before. And so now our inventory of visits has really grown substantially. I feel like this year already we've seen more visits on the calendar than we did this time last year, and even certainly the year before, obviously in 21. But I feel like this year it feels like the way that I've known recruiting to be, and maybe this is why we've seen more of an influx of transfers, because the high school recruiting calendar and process has changed so much because of COVID that I feel like this year we're kind of getting back to like the normal thing. And quite frankly, I feel like this year we saw more college coaches really spending more time evaluating and recruiting the high school guys than we have the last couple of years as well. But this season it feels this way, that we got more guys going out there on campus than we did the last couple of years.
Yeah, I agree. I truly think that it's a worldwide thing, not just in our space in basketball. But I think we're just now all starting to settle back in from COVID. Traveling's picked up. Like we're going back to music. Bands are touring more often. Shows are becoming more of like a regular occurrence, as opposed to like having like, all right, it's got to be outside and you got to stand, blah, 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 blah. It's like everything's kind of finally settling back in, I feel like. And that of course trickles into our world and with recruiting and all of that kind of stuff. I think everything's kind of like, oh, this is how it was before COVID hit.
Sure. And I know a lot of players are doing that too. Families are trying to do that. And it's weird. Like we see a lot of guys, I mean, taking visits is kind of a year-round thing now too, but it does feel like the fall is becoming much more of the focus. And if I'm a college coach, I want you to be there in the fall. I want you to see what our college experience is like. I want you to see what the frats and sororities are doing. I want you to hear the band in the stadium. I want you to see, kids walking through the green and, doing all the things that college kids do, whether it's, you're the biggest school in the country or you're a smaller school in the country. That's still that collegiate experience is different. And I think as more kids and more people kind of get back into more to a face-to-face interaction and just human, existence, I think those visits matter a lot more. Let me throw you on the spot here. I was thinking about this. I know for me, like I always try to take a visit in my own way of calling it a visit to, well, let me rewind it back. So, when I covered the Oregon Ducks football team for 2 seasons when Chip Kelly was there, when they went to the national championship. That's right. Go Ducks. If you know me, if you've shared a sideline with me, I love my Ducks. I love that experience. I always want to cover college football. And so when I covered college football, that experience, that college game day in Eugene is phenomenal. Absolutely love it. Yeah. I loved it when I was a college student. I love it, when I was an adult. I had a great radio show there in Eugene. It was tons of fun. And I love that experience. And there was nothing like it on a Saturday. Now, you can be in SEC land, and there's nothing like that at all. But that experience was definitely different. I remember thinking, like, as a kid, like, wow, how cool of an experience would it be to be down on the sidelines before the game? And, like I'd want guys to have that opportunity to go have that experience. And so it's kind of, for me, like, I've always enjoyed that. So I've always wanted to take a visit for myself to a different campus that I've not been into, with one of my brothers. I'm the oldest of 5 boys in my family. I've got a sister too, God bless her. But one of me and my brothers always take a fall visit somewhere to go catch a football game. And we went to Alabama one year and saw an unbelievable football game against Texas A&M. I'll throw it to you. If you could take a visit anywhere in the fall, where would you go? And so for me, it was like, I want to take a visit somewhere. I want to go out, see the campus. And so one of me and my brothers, I'm the oldest of 5 boys, We have a sister, God bless her. One of me and my brothers would take a visit somewhere. My favorite visit I ever took was to Alabama. Naturally, they played Texas A&M. It was right after Johnny Manziel had played there. This was like peak Bama. It was an unbelievable experience that I'll never forget. I knew it was awesome, but I had no idea it was that awesome. So the staff there, Anthony Grant was the head coach. They were unbelievable, did this great tailgate. But I remember thinking like, okay, this is pretty damn cool. If you were a player, Josh Tech, and if you had a chance to go anywhere in the country to take a visit on a college Saturday in the fall, where are you going?
This might be recency bias, but I was just there, and I stayed I stayed like literally right across the street from the college, and I walked around the college campus, and I was like, damn, this place is pretty cool. And that was Texas. I was in Austin. And I was just walking around that campus. I was pretty, blown away by how nice it was. You could have great views of all this stuff. There's so much around you. Like it's right in the middle of everything. If you've never been to Austin, the campus is just like one of the main attractions. And it's right by everything. So I thought that was really cool. My only complaint is that, good God, Texas is hot. So like I can imagine that might be the thing that kind of deterred me. But I think being around that atmosphere during a college game day would be really cool. Obviously, like all those SEC schools, Ole Miss, Alabama, blah blah blah. Like I haven't been to very many college stadiums. The only two I've been to, I think, for college football are Georgia Tech and Louisville. So like I haven't gotten that experience. I think another one that'd be cool is like some of those Big Ten schools, like Penn State, Michigan, yada yada yada. I think being up there, like in the cold for college football, would be really cool.
Yeah, cold football games, I'll be honest, way overrated. I went to Lambeau for Dallas Cowboys played at Lambeau, and it wasn't like snowy cold, it was rainy cold. It sucked so bad. I thought it was the most overrated experience.
Like I think like by cold, I mean like fall cold, like right before Halloween, like all the leaves and stuff like that. Not like
pumpkin spice cold.
Yeah, pumpkin spice cold. That's what I want. Like I want to have like my latte in hand, walking through the stadium. I think that would be great. Or like an apple cider in hand. Like after Halloween, you can miss me with all of that. After Halloween, I'll tell you what, it's college basketball season, so football for me. But up until Halloween, going in like October to like a Michigan game, I think that'd be really cool.
I think the football experience for basketball recruiting is important. I think because it does show what, like, particularly as a freshman, right? Like that first year on campus, like that's fun, right? Like I don't care if you're like LeBron James. I think as a freshman, if he went to college, would have really loved that experience on college football Saturday. What it really gets into is like hanging out with the team. I think the team getting to know the player, like in that setting, I think really does unveil a lot. Because obviously the college staff has already determined this player is good enough to play for us potentially. So like, let's get him on campus. Let him get with our guys. Let our guys experience him. Maybe the parents to see like, oh, maybe this isn't where I want my son to go, or them to get to know the coaches. Like to me, there's a lot of like things that we haven't had the opportunity to do over the last couple of years, and that's really to get to know each other. Where I feel like these opportunities extend that invitation to be able to do so. And again, the players more than anything else get a chance to know. And some of the best basketball, and college coaches have told me, some of the best basketball that you've seen that you won't see is closed door open gyms when some of these players are in town, especially on some of these big weekends. We've got 20 guys on campus for a huge game.
Yeah.
Like it's like not a McDonald's, but some of these all-star type of games where it's just
it's huge. Really quickly, Louisville, and this I only know this because I've been to a couple of them. Louisville has like one of those big midnight madness recruiting.
Yeah.
It's huge and all of that. It's always on the same weekend as a big football game. And then for a while, for a couple of years running, in addition to that, they would have a team-led open practice that fans could go to. So you'd have these recruits. Like I was at the one where Jay Scrub, when he was a recruit, that was the day that he committed before he went off to the NBA. But I mean, it was like guys like in that class playing against the current Louisville team, and like I think that stuff's really cool. Like if you can get fans in there for a team-led practice like that, it kind of shows you like, oh wow, this many people will show up just to watch a practice, like or something like that.
It's funny you brought up like the midnight madness type of thing. I actually hope that we get back to that. I feel like that was such a big deal in like the early 2000s, like on the recruiting stuff. Like when I was at Rivals, like that was it. Like late night with Roy was huge. what did Kansas call theirs? Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Yeah, they had Snoop Dogg with the strippers and all that. That was cool.
Yeah, they had all kinds of stuff. Memphis obviously was big, and Calipari was there. Like I Big Blue Madness, like all these things that are going on. Like I think I'd love to see it get back to that where that really mattered on the recruiting side, where you got to see, because a lot of times it was mid-October, right? It was the middle weekend in October, and that's when you kind of had to wait. You had like this flurry of commitments around Labor Day, first commitments, and I always think that's important too. Like, does a guy commit on the first visit, which happens a lot, or are guys going to take all 5 or 10 or how, whatever? I know there's not a limit anymore, but like that to me is like the interesting part, like who visits where, and like the chess match that goes on. Well, player A is going to go visit player or school A, but player B is going to visit there next week. Does player A decide to go ahead and commit? And I know the coaches are saying, hey, listen, we got John Smith coming in next week. He's the same position. He's got an offer. He may commit.
Yeah.
That's when we see a lot of guys making decisions too.
I also like the chess match, the game theory, or whatever you want to call it, of I feel like you're a fan of a school being like, oh hell, like you look at this, your kid's like recruiting calendar, and say you're a fan of like, I don't know, Florida State or something like that, and the week before your 5-star target is going to Duke. Like you're like, if we could just get him on campus, if we can get him to not commit during that Duke visit, I think we're good. That kind of like on the edge of your seat kind of stuff is really
if fun. We can get him on campus is such an important phrase in recruiting, because it changes so many guys' opinions sometimes. Right. And again, to what you said, recency bias, like you're there, like, holy crap, maybe I just saw the most beautiful girl of my life that was walking across campus. I got to go there. Like, who is that? Right. Like, there's all these different things that go on that maybe you don't understand. And so that to me is, if we can only get him on campus, is such a power move in the recruiting side.
I think one additional thing before we move on, one of my favorite things about visit season is when players will post like the smorgasbord of snacks that a school will leave them their official visit. I always think that's interesting, seeing like, all right, what is Cooper Flagg's favorite batch of snacks and stuff like that.
Okay, that would win me over. If you walked into your hotel room, and you had the basket that was on your bed, if they wanted to get Josh Tech's commitment, what's in the basket?
Man, that is a great question. That's harder than the on the spot campus. That is crazy. While I think about this and stumble upon my words, why don't people leave comments below? First of all, I'm going to turn this on you while I think, because that kind of took me for a loop. What would be in your basket? What's like one
homemade cookies?
Homemade cookies. I can see that.
Not like grandma's cookies, nothing that's prepackaged, like something that's a home baked cookie.
Yeah.
And that was it, honestly. Like, give me something like that. Because like for me, like if we always talk about like family, like I want it to be like, all right, cool. Like my mom literally every day, that's probably why I'm a fat ass. My mom every day when I was a kid, when we'd come home from school, had something fresh baked.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm a big time fan of that. Like any kind of sweets would win me over. I have a big time sweet tooth in addiction. So anything like that, like sweets, candy, yada, yada, yada. Like I'm not too hard to please. Like you could probably just win me over via recency bias.
Now I wonder if homemade cookies are being replaced by NIL meetings with like huge brands, right? Like now that's the thing that's now in
like it's like an IOU kind of template where it's like, a name of a company and like a number written down or something like that. Like gone are the days of Oreos. You know what? Halloween Oreos could win me over, because I'm a big time fan of, living in the moment of like holidays, and just seeing the orange makes my brain think that it tastes better. So
I love it. Well, that colorway actually goes really well for Hoop Scene, by the way. We're big fans of Halloween because of our colorway. All right, let's get into it. We're going to do, again, every Thursday night, roughly, we're going to launch Fastbreak Friday on hoopscene.com. It's really the best players, or not the best players. It's all the visits of note that we want to get into. We're going to trim that down even further here on the Fast Break. And we're going to talk about three important commitments, not commitments, visitors you want to keep a close eye watch. I can't even talk. See, I'm thinking about Oreo cookies and homemade, chocolate chip cookies, and I can't think. I'll get into it. Chase McCarty is one of our guys, and he's taking a visit to we're talking about Orange, taking a visit to Tennessee. I think Chase McCarty is one of my favorite guys. I thought he was one of the probably 10 best guys in the Under Armour circuit this year, maybe 5 best guys, honestly.
Yeah.
in the 24 class, phenomenal. I thought he's been on such a tear since the playoffs in the state of Alabama to where we are now going into his senior year, now down at IMG. Chase McCarty's got a lot of schools recruiting him. He has a lot of visits scheduled. Tennessee gets first crack in Knoxville. And we talked about places to go visit. If you've never been to Knoxville on game day, there is very few places in the country that can match what Knoxville's like on a game day. It's unbelievable. There's tons of energy. Obviously, Tennessee is really taking advantage of the unlimited visits. I feel like everybody's visiting Tennessee within the top 100 in the class of 2024. And Chase McCarty is the guy that gets first crack at that. A guy now, originally out of the state of Alabama, played with the Atlantic Express, a guy that we like, a guy that we have really highly rated. That's one of our favorite visits. Who else do you like this weekend as we look at our top 3 visitors of the weekend?
Well, I think you gotta look at towards the top of the 2024 rankings. The guy that we're gonna bump up significantly at some point is Con Knipple out of Wisconsin, that northern area, North Midwest area. He's taking a visit to Shaka Smart and Marquette. So that's a big one just to see if they can keep him home. I mean, if you can get a guy of that talent, that skill, that IQ, all of the stuff that he brings to the floor for that Marquette team, that could be really, really good. Shaka Smart's got a lot of momentum with Marquette right now. They're really building a program that's going to be, they're probably going to be in the top, 10, 15 teams in the country this season. So they're going to utilize that momentum. They're going to utilize, he's been a good recruiter in the past. They're going to utilize the, stay home, stay close to home kind of thing. So I think that's a really important one. I know you and I are looking forward to a couple of weeks from now when Con takes a couple other visits, but I think this one's a really big one for him.
Well, I think he is the best shooter in the class of 2024. I really do. Yeah. I think he's got that type of skill set that will carry on past college as a real specialist. He's a dead-eye guy, great size. He absolutely knows how to fill it up. And if you talk to the smartest basketball people in the country, they'll tell you the same thing. That guy's an absolute sniper from deep, a real differential guy. And I think that value alone will be something that we want to keep our eyes on. Marquette getting their first crack. We're going to round it out. We've got Austin Schwartz, one of our big risers from the spring this year, out of the state of North Carolina, a guy that Justin Byerly knows really, really well, our North Carolina editor. He's headed down to Miami. That is, again, the first of many visits for him coming up this fall. Miami, no stranger to having great guards, no stranger to having the guys that can hit big shots. And Austin Schwartz, really, when you look at the guards that have played at Miami and you look at the makeup of what Austin Schwartz is, it's a really good – it makes total sense that they evaluated him as a guy that would fit for what they do. And Austin Schwartz is a guy that I think maybe even back in February, March was not really on a lot of even top 100 lists, maybe even top 150 list, and really blew up.
It was bubbling around that point in time, but it didn't. It really exploded, I feel like, in April.
Yeah. So certainly a guy that Jim Larinaga and his staff said, hey, that's a dude that we want to make sure we get onto campus.
That's another school with a lot of momentum, and it's another school that I imagine a lot of players have a hard time leaving Miami without that being one of their favorite destinations. You know what I'm saying? So that's another school where you're kind of like, you might just commit on the spot if you're there. So,
it's funny. Like I've always thought this, that if I'm a school like Miami or if I'm a school like down here in Arizona, like a warm weather school for a winter sport, like why aren't you going to Chicago or Detroit or Minneapolis or any super cold weather place and say, hey, it's unbelievable here in the wintertime. Like it's incredible. Like come down here and play and wear shorts.
Game was beautiful. Like damn, man. Awesome. It's like that's why I look at anytime Miami has a visitor, I'm like, hey man, we should keep an eye on that, just because like you could be sold on that place quickly. Like,
well, I think more importantly, they're bringing in pros and they've developed pros. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Catch up with the job that Belmont does in identifying and developing. Miami is one of the best in the country at identifying and developing. Like Bruce Brown, like I think about Bruce Brown all the time when I watch him. God, they did such a great job.
Think about Isaiah Wong. Like, I mean, totally. They 2 back-to-back Elite Eights and Final Four and all that stuff. So I think they got all the momentum in the world, plus the natural gifts of Miami. So.
All right, we'll put some questions in the comments below. If you're watching this, if you're seeing this on Twitter or whatever, couple of things. Where would be your number one visits you want to take? Okay, leave a comment below. What's in your gift bag? Okay,
like what's your thing?
Yeah, what's your thing? We'll leave it there. Actually, we'll make it real simple. Let's drop those in the comments, and if you want to add to that, let us know. Make sure you like and subscribe so we can get in the algorithm, do all the things that they say that you need to go do. So I would love to know. Again, Thursday night, check out hoopsing.com. We got Fast Break Friday coming out a little early. And let's pivot and we'll kind of wrap things up here. We've got our preview camp series coming up in Georgia and Alabama. We've got stuff for the high school boys, high school girls, middle school for both boys and girls. You can go to hoopsing.com/events and you go check that out. You can go get registered. It is, to me, this is why we call it the preview camp. We call it the preview camp because we want to give you a preview of what it's like to play in college. And that means a high-level practice, high-level competition. Our coaching staffs that we have for these events are off the charts, guys that have played, guys that have coached, guys that have gone through this experience before. Really valuable stuff. And we got that tipping off really here in a couple of weeks as we get our preview camp season started off. So make sure you go there. I'll leave you with this last question. Give me a favorite preview moment from last season, Josh. Any player that kind of blew up?
I really enjoyed, just because it wasn't a player that I got to see that often. Malik Johnson at our fall preview was really good. And let me give you one from a couple years ago that I thought you were going to just kind of open it up even more. A couple years ago at our elite preview camp, Caleb Wilson was there. Yeah. And right then it was one of those moments where I was with Brianna Patton. We were both kind of like, whoa. This guy is really, 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 really good. And then now you look at it, he's got Kentucky and Duke and all the bluest of blue bloods after him. So I think that one is one where you look at, you're like, yep, I remember watching him when he was just even lankier and goofier and more awkward than he is now. But even then you could see like, this guy's going to be something.
Well, that's what we're inviting for our elite camp. Our elite preview is just for freshmen and sophomores. And those are invite only. So make sure you follow us on Twitter. We're dropping those 2 or 3 of them a day throughout the week, Monday through Friday. And we're going to finally get into the class of 2027. Thousands of people have emailed me, texted me, want to know when we're going to start to invite freshmen. That's coming up this week as well. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled on that. So this is a fun one. Hopefully we got a lot more coming up. Again, a lot more visitors coming up. So the show will be a lot more, it'll be beefier moving forward. So Josh, this was fun, man. This was good. We'll see you next Monday right here on the Fast Break. Thanks for watching, and make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Yes, sir.